So this happened last month when my car died on some back road in the middle of nowhere. I'm talking complete darkness, no other cars, just me sitting there freaking out because my phone had no signal and I didn't know what the hell to do. Then I see this gas station maybe half a mile up the road. Place looked weird though, too bright, too clean for being in the middle of absolutely nothing. But I figured beggars can't be choosers, right? I should probably back up and explain how I got there. I was driving back from visiting my buddy in Tucson. 6-hour drive I'd done a bunch of times before. Usually I just take the 10 straight through, nothing complicated. But there was this massive accident. Traffic stopped for like 2 hours. My GPS kept trying to reroute me through these back roads I'd never heard of. I'm sitting there getting frustrated because it's getting dark and I just want to get home, you know? So finally I'm like, screw it. I'll take this exit that's supposed to cut 30 minutes off the drive. One of those state routes through absolutely nothing, desert and the occasional trailer. That's when my car just completely died. All the electrical stuff went out at once. Dashboard, radio, even my phone charger stopped working. I coasted to the shoulder thinking this is just perfect. So anyway, I see this gas station and walk over there. I pull up and start pumping gas when this guy comes out. Not an employee, just some dude in regular clothes, jeans, t-shirt, nothing special. But he's like, "You're not from around here." Not a question. He said it like he already knew everything about me. Then he starts asking where I'm headed, where I came from, normal small talk stuff at first. But then he goes, "You took the detour because of the accident, right?" And that's when I got this weird feeling. Like, how did he know about the accident? It was like 50 miles away, maybe more. Could have been anything that made me take that exit. Then he's like, "Yeah, we get a lot of people coming through here when that happens, usually around this time of night too." And he's just staring at me with these weird dilated eyes. Could have been drugs, I don't know, but it was unsettling. So I finish pumping, and this whole time he's just standing there watching me. And I go inside to pay. The cashier's this older woman, and she's looking at me funny too. Like she recognized me somehow, which is impossible because I'd never been there before. She goes, "You're the third one tonight." And I'm like, "Third what?" But she just shrugs and takes my money. Doesn't explain anything. Here's the thing though. While I'm standing there waiting for my receipt, I notice behind the counter there's this notebook open. I can see license plate numbers written in it in blue pen. I couldn't see all of it because she kind of moved to block my view, but I definitely saw some plates with times written next to them. Like they were logging who stopped and when. As I'm walking back to my car, I noticed there's another car parked behind the building that wasn't there when I pulled up. Just sitting there with the engine running, dark-tinted windows. Couldn't see who was in it, but I got this feeling like they were waiting for something. I get in my car, and as I'm pulling out, and this is the part that really freaked me out, I look in my rearview mirror and both the guy and woman are standing outside watching me leave. Just standing there in front of the station, watching my car drive away. Not waving goodbye or anything normal, just watching. And then the car from behind the building starts following me. For the next 10 miles, this car stays behind me. Not tailgating or being obvious about it, just there. Every turn I make, they make. Every time I speed up or slow down, they do the same thing. I'm starting to panic, thinking, what the hell is going on here? So I pull over to see what they'll do. They drive past me real slow and I can see it's 2 people inside, but I can't make out their faces because it's dark and their windows are tinted. They keep going and I don't see them again. But here's what really messes with my head. When I got back on the highway about 20 minutes later, I passed another accident, fresh one. Car wrapped around a tree, emergency vehicles just arriving, ambulance, fire trucks, the whole deal. I never found out what happened to that driver, but I keep thinking about what the woman said. Third one tonight. And that notebook with the license plates, and that car following me. Like, what if I hadn't pulled over? What if I'd kept driving those back roads in the dark with them behind me? When I got home, I looked up that gas station online. It exists. It's a real place, has a website and everything. But when I read the reviews, and there weren't many, there are all these weird complaints. People saying they got lost after stopping there or their GPS started acting weird after leaving. One review said something like, "Felt like I was being watched the whole time," and another was like, "Staff asked way too many personal questions for just buying gas." I don't know if it's all connected or if I'm just being paranoid, but I take the long way now, even when there's traffic. Some shortcuts aren't worth it, you know? And I always check my rearview mirror way more than I used to. Way more. My car started making this weird noise on my way to Portland last month. Nothing major at first, just a little rattle when I hit the gas. But 2 hours into the drive, it got really bad. So I pulled over, even though I don't know anything about cars. I should mention, this was one of those early morning work trips where you leave at like 5 a.m. to beat traffic. I'd been putting off getting the noise checked out for weeks. You know how it is. Car's running fine otherwise. Why spend money at the mechanic, right? Big mistake. So I'm on this stretch of highway. It's pretty empty. And the rattling gets so bad, I'm worried something's gonna fall off. I pull over and pop the hood, just staring at the engine like it's gonna tell me what's wrong. I mean, what am I gonna see under there? I can barely change my own oil. Maybe 5 minutes later, this pickup truck stops behind me. Guy gets out, looking like he actually knows what he's doing. Work clothes, confident walk, tool belt on his hip. He comes over and immediately points to this belt and goes, "There's your problem. That belt's about to snap. You're lucky you stopped when you did." Here's the weird part though. I never told him what kind of noise it was making. Could have been anything under there. But he knew exactly what to look for, like he'd seen this exact same problem 100 times before. He tells me there's a parts store about 10 miles up the road, says he can follow me there to make sure I make it. And I'm thinking, okay, this is nice, right? Good Samaritan, helping out a stranger. You don't see that much anymore. So we drive to this auto parts store, and he talks to the guy behind the counter like they know each other. Not just, "Hey, how's it going?" but like they've done business before. Gets the belt, comes back out, installs it for me in maybe 10 minutes. Guy clearly knows his way around an engine. I try to pay him, but he won't take any money. Just says, "Pay it forward, brother." Seems like a decent guy, right? I thank him and get back on the road thinking I just met one of the good ones. But as I'm driving, I start thinking about it. Like, how did he know exactly what was wrong just from looking? And why was he so sure about which parts store to go to? It's not like there are signs for auto parts every mile. And the way that store clerk acted like this wasn't the first time they'd done this whole routine together. Then I remember something that's been bugging me. Before my car started making noise, maybe 30 miles back, I'd stopped at this rest area, just to use the bathroom and grab some coffee from the vending machine, stretch my legs, you know. There was a pickup truck there that looked similar to the one that helped me. Same color, same general style. I didn't think much of it at the time because honestly, there's a million pickup trucks on the highway. But now I'm wondering. Here's what really bothers me though. When I was at that rest area, I popped my hood to check my oil. Long drive ahead, figured I should be safe. And I remember this guy walking past while I was doing it. Just some dude in work clothes, didn't think anything of it then. But now I'm thinking, what if that was the same guy? What if someone loosened my belt just enough to make noise after driving for a while? It wouldn't be that hard to do if you knew what you were looking for. And if you timed it right, the car would have problems at a predictable spot on the highway, right where your buddy with the tow truck happens to be waiting. So I called my mechanic when I got to Portland, described what happened. He laughs and goes, "You probably got scammed, buddy." Apparently, it's not that hard to sabotage a belt to make noise, but not break completely. And if you know what you're doing, you can time it so the car has problems after driving for a certain amount of time. The parts store probably charges way more than normal. He said that belt should have cost maybe $20, not the 80 I paid. And they split the profit with the guy who helps you. Pretty slick operation when you think about it. But here's what really freaks me out. I keep thinking about that rest stop. about how that pickup truck was positioned where someone could see under my hood if they wanted to. And I did check my oil. Left the hood open for like 5 minutes while I went to buy coffee and use the bathroom. Stretch my legs. You know. What if this whole thing was planned? What if someone saw me stop, messed with my car while I wasn't looking, then followed me until it broke down? The helpful stranger shows up right on time, knows exactly what's wrong, has the perfect solution and the right connections to solve my problem. What are the odds? Now when I stop at rest areas, I pay attention to who's around. And I never let anyone I don't know work on my car, no matter how helpful they seem or how desperate the situation is. Because sometimes the person offering to solve your problem is the one that caused it in the first place. You know? I still drive that route sometimes for work. Last month, I stopped at that same rest area, and I swear I saw the same pickup truck parked there. Different guys standing next to it, but same truck, same color, same everything. Same strategic position where you could see anyone who popped their hood. Maybe it's a coincidence. Maybe I'm overthinking it. But I didn't check my oil that time. Didn't even get out of my car longer than I had to.
My GPS told me to take an exit that doesn't exist. I know that sounds crazy, but hear me out. I was driving to Denver for work last year, a route I'd done maybe 10 times before. 8-hour drive, pretty straightforward, nothing complicated about it. This was supposed to be a routine trip. I had a presentation the next morning, left early to beat traffic and get there with time to spare. You know how it is with work trips, everything's planned down to the minute. But about 4 hours in, somewhere in the middle of Kansas, my GPS starts acting weird, like really weird. It tells me to take exit 247, but I swear this exit wasn't there before. I'd driven this exact route so many times I could probably do it with my eyes closed, and I would have remembered an exit there. But traffic was heavier than usual and I was running a little behind schedule. So when the GPS said it would save me 20 minutes, I figured, why not? 20 minutes is 20 minutes, especially when you're trying to get to a hotel before midnight. So I take the exit, and immediately I'm in this completely different world. Instead of the usual truck stops and McDonald's you see at highway exits, there is nothing. Just this long, empty road stretching out through farmland. No buildings, no signs, nothing. My GPS is telling me to keep going straight, but something feels wrong about this whole situation. The road surface is different, newer, like it was just paved recently. And there are no mile markers, no road signs, nothing to tell you where you are or where you're going. After maybe 10 minutes of driving through absolutely nothing, I start seeing these billboards. But they're not normal billboards advertising restaurants or hotels or whatever. They're just pictures. Pictures of cars. Different makes and models, different colors, but always just cars. And underneath each picture is just a number, like 4B7 or 9K2 or some other random code that don't mean anything to me. I'm getting kind of freaked out by this point, so I tried to turn around and go back to the highway. But every time I find a spot to make a U-turn, and there aren't many on this road, my GPS recalculates and tells me I'll add 2 hours to my trip if I go back. 2 whole hours for a route that should only take 8 hours total. So I keep going, figuring I've come this far, might as well see where it leads. That's when I start noticing the cars on the side of the road. Every few miles, there's another car pulled over on the shoulder. Not broken down cars with their hoods up or anything like that. These look perfectly fine, just parked there, empty. Some with the hazard lights still blinking like whoever was driving just stepped out for a minute. And here's the really weird part that made my skin crawl. They match the billboards. I'll see a billboard with a picture of a red Toyota Camry, and then a mile or two later, there's a red Toyota Camry sitting abandoned on the shoulder. Same make, same model, same color. I start paying closer attention and count maybe 8 or 9 cars total, all different makes and models,
all just sitting there empty. Some look like they've been there for days, others look like they were just abandoned. By now, I'm really starting to panic. I try calling 911, but my phone has no signal, which is weird because I had full bars when I took the exit. I try calling my office, my hotel, anybody. Nothing. It's like I'm in some kind of dead zone. My GPS keeps saying continue straight for 12 miles, then continue straight for 11 miles, but it never seems to get any closer to getting me back to civilization. Just more farmland, more empty road, more of those creepy billboards with car pictures. Finally, after what feels like forever, GPS says it was 45 minutes, but it felt like hours. It tells me to turn right, and suddenly, like flipping a switch, I'm back on the regular highway. Normal traffic, trucks, road signs, everything you'd expect to see. I pull over at the first rest area I find and try to figure out what just happened. My hands are shaking, my heart's pounding, and I feel like I just escaped from something really bad. I check my GPS history to see if I can figure out where I was, but there's no record of that detour, like it never happened. But here's the thing, when I check my odometer, I've driven almost 60 miles more than I should have for that point in the trip. So I know I didn't imagine the whole thing. When I got to Denver, I tried looking up exit 247 in Kansas online. It doesn't exist according to the State Highway Department website. I even called them to ask about it, and the guy was like, "Sir, there's no exit 247 on that route. The exits go from 246 to 248 with nothing in between." I called the state police and tried to report the abandoned cars, but without being able to give them an exact location, they couldn't do anything. And honestly, how do you explain finding a road that doesn't officially exist? A few months later, I had to make the same trip for work. This time, I wrote down all the exit numbers ahead of time, just to be sure. Drove the whole route, paying attention to every single exit sign. Exit 247 isn't there. Never was there. The exits go from 246 to 248 with nothing in between, just like the highway department said. But you know what really bothers me? I started asking other drivers on online forums about weird GPS experiences. Turns out I'm not the only one. There's this whole thread of people talking about getting directed to roads that don't exist or exits that aren't on any official maps. Most of them describe the same thing. Long highway drives, usually when you're alone and running late, GPS suddenly routes you to some place that shouldn't exist. And almost everyone mentions abandoned vehicles somewhere along the route. One guy said he found the same thing in Nevada. GPS directed him to a shortcut through the desert that took him past a bunch of empty cars. Another person in Texas had almost the exact same experience. Mysterious road, weird billboards, abandoned vehicles that matched the signs. I don't know what's going on. Maybe it's some kind of glitch with GPS satellites? Maybe someone's figured out how to hack the system and send people to places they shouldn't go? Or maybe there's something else going on that I don't even want to think about. All I know is now I drive with paper maps as backup. And if my GPS tries to route me somewhere I've never been before, somewhere that doesn't feel right, I ignore it. Even if it means being late to wherever I'm going. Because I keep thinking about those abandoned cars. Where did the drivers go? And why were they arranged to match the pictures on those billboards? Sometimes I wonder if I was supposed to stop. If maybe that's what happens to people who don't make it all the way through whatever that road was, they just become another car sitting on the shoulder of a road that doesn't exist.